All right, this thing is live. So, hey everybody. I hope everybody's having a great year so far. Obviously, I'm here because Facebook is trying to make it as difficult as possible to exist on their platform. So, I decided to move over to YouTube and do this. I don't usually live stream on YouTube, so this is going to be brand new. I do have a couple of YouTube channels. I've been using YouTube forever, just not as a streaming platform. But since Facebook, or since I'm apparently just too hilarious for Facebook, and they keep kicking me off, and their punishments now aren't just like banning your account. Their punishments are now shutting down all of your pages and making sure that you can't stream on their platform anymore. It's so ridiculous. It's such a garbage platform. I wish there were more options out there for people. I really do. Honestly, I don't use it for much except for some groups that I'm in. And I'll post things on my personal page just to let my mom know that I'm still alive and things like that. But man, it's too much. And so I had to bail. So I'm here. Thanks for but 7 subscribers on a YouTube channel that's like a week old and has 0 content is pretty good by YouTube standards. So for the 7 people who subscribe to this channel, thank you. And I'm glad that you're following me over here and that you're gonna continue to watch this. So we're gonna keep making this fun and keep making things difficult for city government to exist in peace. At least I hope so. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a bit of shaking up taking place on the city council this year. There are 2 challengers for city council positions. Not Tori Jennings. Somebody has to run against Tori Jennings. Somebody please run against Tori Jennings. Well, I mean, she's going to be in there for like the next 2 years now, so it's a little late. But we got a challenger to Melissa Johnson, which is really cool. Marla Schultz is her name. And so I plan on getting the people that are running and bringing them on this stream, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these YouTube streams. There's still a lot of people that are stuck over on Facebook that just don't want to use YouTube for whatever reason. So I will be taking these YouTube streams and re-uploading them onto the Facebook page. But those of you who are over here on Facebook, you guys get to see it all live and you guys can interact with it and ask questions and whatnot. But I will be getting I will be getting these city council challengers to come over and do like some interviews so we can all get to know them. One of the big great things that happened is that Cindy Nebel of District 3 is gone. She has retired and she is no more. So she's been replaced by a woman by the name of Ginger Kemmer or something like that. Don't know anything about her. We'll just have to follow her and see what she's all about and see what she's doing. Oh God, I hope she's not another Cindy Nebel clone though. That would just be terrible. And because I've been banned, I haven't really been following the city government too closely. Had a lot of other things going on too, but I can only imagine that when Cindy Nebel announced her retirement, that the entire council was just all, oh, you provided this wonderful service for us, and we're so sad to see you go, and like the typical crap that they do every time, like a like they're all like these great and wonderful public servants who just need all the confetti thrown out at their departure and all the accolades and all the gushy language that, you know what, Cindy Nebel, good riddance. Good riddance. This town is worse than it is when you came in to city council, and I'm glad you're gone. Now you can get back to your life, and you can, get back to complaining to your city council person about your neighbors, paint peeling off their picket fences or whatever your deal is. But good riddance. I'm glad you're gone. If I was on city council, that would have been my farewell address to Cindy Nebel too. While everybody else is just gushing over, the wonderful time that she gave in public service, I'd have been like, no, good, you're gone. Thanks for nothing. So that's a good thing. Ginger Keemer. Okay, we don't know anything about her, so I guess we're gonna find out. So there is a chat function here, so you guys can put in whatever comments or questions you have. I want to know how everybody's been doing in the new year coming off of COVID. We just went through a year where everything was shut down, everybody's panicked, everybody's freaking out, and now we finally have a vaccine. So I'm hoping that like all of this mask BS and everything else is going to start to die out now. One of the things that I was going to talk about in the stream that I was going to do back in November before Facebook decided they were going to ban me from streaming was I finally got accosted in a grocery store for the first time since all the COVID things started for not wearing a mask. First time it's ever happened. So I was going to talk about that. There's nothing to talk about. You always see people in like some of the Facebook groups, the people that are like really anti-mask in the Facebook groups, they're always asking the questions like, well, how do I respond to somebody who is challenging me for not wearing a mask? And, like, what should I say? What should my response be? Things like that. The answer is nothing. You should say nothing to these people, nothing at all. I had this lady come up to me in Metro Market, and I wasn't wearing a mask, and she just stops me and she's like, are you one of those anti-maskers? You don't believe in wearing a mask? And I was just like, my answer to her was not to defend myself for not wearing a mask. My answer was simply, who the hell are you that I owe you any explanation for what I'm doing? I'm here to shop for groceries. I'm not here to debate dullards on the finer points of wearing a mask. So apparently she didn't like that answer. And this lady followed me down the aisle, like just going at it. And I'm ignoring her. I'm just shopping. And I couldn't understand what she was saying half the time anyway, because she was wearing a mask. So that is how you deal with people who are going to confront you in public. Look, by the time they're to the point mentally that they're going to challenge a complete stranger in public who is doing nothing more than just existing, that person is so far gone. Look, you're not going to argue them to come around to see things from your point of view. They're done. They're done. They've already adopted all of the, propaganda. They're not going to have their mind changed. So the best thing you can do is just ignore them. Don't say anything to them. Don't bother. This lady in Metro Market and me are on two completely different planes of existence. Okay. The dimension of existence that I live in, there's no way I can reach her in her crazy mask dimension. Okay, she's gone. She's unreachable, and you just got to keep that in mind with people. All right, just don't. It doesn't pay to argue with people. Just forget it. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Not since then. I think this was back in November or December that this happened. November, I think, and haven't had any problems since. So whatever. On a related note, I did have COVID. I got COVID in February. And the person that I caught it from interestingly enough, is somebody who always wears a mask in public without fail. Always. That's who I caught it from. Didn't catch it all year. Never wore a mask, didn't catch it all year. Caught it from the person who's always wearing a mask. How does that work? I don't know. I have no explanation for the science behind it. That's just what happened. I don't know. So that was interesting. So I had COVID in February, and I still don't have my taste of, or my sense of taste back and my sense of smell. Not completely. I have it back a little bit. It's been like a month now, I think. So here's how it works. If you've never been tested for COVID, so the person that I got it from tested positive for COVID. I had exactly the same illness that they did. So very obviously that's what I had. Well, when this person had their test done, the people who do the test, what they do is they contact the health department in Portage County. So the health department's on the phone with you right away, and they're going to talk to you, and they're going to send you emails and that they want you to fill out every day that just you tell them what all your symptoms are. I guess they're collecting all this information in a big COVID symptom database, which, okay, that's all right. I have no problem with that as long as it's all voluntary. It's good information to have. And then they called me right away because I was in contact with this person. And by the time that they called me, I was already over it. Honestly, I was sick for like a day, like really sick for a day. I ran a fever for about 4 hours. That was the extent of it. And when I get sick to the point where I'm like running a fever, like my muscles cramp up really bad, just always happens every time I have the flu. It's horrible. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't any worse than any other flu, or it was a lot better than the flu actually, because I hate throwing up, and this wasn't a throw up kind of sickness. So it was much better. And honestly, all I did was, and yeah, I was fatigued for about 2 weeks. I'm getting my energy back and everything now. But yeah, really all I did was like lay on the couch. I dusted off the PS3, got back into playing Oblivion, which I never finished years and years ago. And there was nothing to it. That was it. That was the entire sickness. So, but that's just me. Obviously, other people are, they're going to take it a lot worse. So that was just my experience with it. That's the second time I had this same sickness. The first time was back in February of 2020, which I suspected was COVID several months after I had been sick with it. And it definitely was. So there's another thing. You can catch it twice for whatever reason. I don't know if I got like a mutated version of it or what the deal is, but you can definitely get it more than once, or at least get the variation or the variant. So yeah, that was my COVID experience. The health department did call me, and they wanted to send me emails to talk, like give them a record of my symptoms. And the way it works is that because I wasn't tested, I would have to, like, my quarantine began 14 days after the person that I got it from first started showing symptoms. So basically I was quarantined for a month, or they wanted me to be quarantined for a month. So I said, go ahead, send me the emails, and they want you to do this every single day. And look, honestly, I took one look at that and I was like, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes a day doing this. And for what reason? Because they're not even going to give me the benefit of the doubt for having COVID, because I didn't get a test. So technically they can't say that I have COVID. And I'm just like, well, I'm not going to fill this stuff out. But it's a lot of homework. So if you get COVID and the health department wants you to fill out information, it is all voluntary. I chose not to do it just because they don't know if I had COVID or not. I know I had it, but they had no hard proof that I had it. So anyway, that was my experience with that back in February. So that was fun. As far as what's going on in Stevens Point this week or this month, there's a lot of stuff kind of ramping up. I've been following a little bit of what's been going on Facebook as far as people getting involved more with some of the commission meetings, and I think that's really freaking cool. Guys, I want to commend you for sure for a lot of the things that you're doing. There were a bunch of them got kicked out of a school board meeting for not wearing masks. So, whatever. That's cool that you were there to speak up in opposition to what were they doing? The diversity and inclusion coordinator that they wanted to hire. Obviously, you can protest that thing all day long. Everybody sitting on the board is going to pass that thing. Look, it's going to happen. It's a foregone conclusion. You can't have people sitting on the school board voting against something like that because the papers are just going to rip them to shreds the next day. You know it's going to happen. They're going to be called white supremacists and bigots and everything else. It's just easier to vote for something like that and spare yourself all the grief. Of course, why are you even on the school board if you're just going to rubber stamp stuff like that anyway? I don't know. But yeah, another waste of taxpayer dollars. So that's it. That's what we have to look forward to. And it's not going to do anything either. Whatever the people who want this diversity and inclusion, whatever they think that's going to accomplish, it's not. It's just a jobs program. 10 years from now, that job is still going to exist. We're still all going to be paying for it. And I don't care what they're paying that person. I'm sure it's a ridiculous amount of money. Whatever that person is getting paid is not worth what they're getting paid. They will not be bringing, I don't care if they're getting paid $10,000 a year. I don't care if they're getting paid $5,000 a year. I'm sure it's something far beyond that, but assume for a second that it was $5,000 a year. It's still way too much. They're not going to bring that kind of value to the community. All right. Whatever people working at McDonald's make, between $15,000, $20,000 a year, they bring more value to the community. And I guarantee that whoever this diversity and inclusion person is going to be is going to make twice as much as somebody who works at McDonald's, which is a shame. But that's government, okay? In a free market system, a person like that would not have that kind of cushy job. That's for sure. So that's what we got. I'm sure property taxes are eventually going to go up again to pay for this. There's just no brakes on the kind of spending that the city government does. And they're trying to get a person if I understand correctly, they're trying to get another person like that for the city government, like a city position, and another person at the county level. So lots of diversity and inclusion people. Apparently, this is going to be a big thing going forward, I guess. I don't know why, but I didn't know Stevens Point was so racist. Okay, I didn't understand, and I don't know what this accomplishes with the kids. Exactly what's the point here? Now, I've seen some of the stuff that they want some kind of diversity and inclusion committee. I keep wanting to say diversion because it really is just a diversion from whatever problems they're really trying to solve. It's not going to do it. This isn't going to solve it. And I've seen some of the stuff that they're trying to put together, and it's all such vague language. And I hate that. I despise vague, ambiguous, unclear language, because you know that people are just going to come in and make it mean whatever they want it to mean. It doesn't have any basis in reality whatsoever. So that's what I would like to challenge the people that are really pushing this. exactly what are you trying to do here? Oh, we want to help marginalized groups. And then there's a whole list of marginalized groups. You know who the most marginalized group is in any society? The individual. The individual, regardless of anything, your class, your race, your religion, your sexuality, your culture. It doesn't matter. The individual is the most marginalized person in any society. The individual basically has no voice. You are constantly at the whim of the groups, constantly. So I don't think they had individuals in mind when they put this thing together, though. But they got like, homeless people on there. Like, homeless people apparently aren't being represented in society. Like, what does that even mean? like how is your committee going to like help homeless people in a way that other groups aren't already trying to help homeless people? Are you going to try to keep them warm and fed, or what? Like, what? Again, this all comes back to the ambiguous language that they're always using. Whatever. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. There's people that are following it a lot more closely than I am, and I will have one of these people on to do an interview at some point. Somebody who's following it a lot closer than I am. It's just another dumb thing that people are going to get crazy about. People are going to divide over this thing too. You just know they will. There's going to be the for and against people. And the only thing I'm concerned with, like, look, if you want to have these groups that try to cater to marginalized groups, again, whatever that means, okay, fine. It doesn't matter, but like, stop taking resources from people to do it. That's the only thing I asked. Make it a voluntary thing. Make it you want to make it an educational thing? Great. Just make it voluntary. Don't be taken from people against their will or forcing people who want nothing to do with it to have to finance it. Just stop doing that. Man, so many things in society could be fixed if people just stop trying to force other people to do what they want them to do. So many things could be fixed. But yeah, so I honestly, the big news obviously this week was the Casey Beelan stuff. For those of you who don't know, he's a firefighter, was a firefighter, I guess is safe to say at this point, and a paramedic, and he's facing disciplinary stuff for like a drunk driving charge, and just, and it's a circus. It's a circus. I feel bad for the guy. Yeah, okay, don't drink and drive. That's a dumb thing to do. Obviously, he knows that. I'm sure everybody knows that. But, he didn't do anything that 50 other people are doing on any given weekend in Portage County, right? But it is a public circus, of course, because he's a firefighter. That's the only reason. I met the guy once. He was at my house once on an ambulance call. I had a foreign exchange student who had a really bad panic attack and thought he was dying and wanted to call the ambulance. And so we did, and Mr. Beelan, he was one of the guys here, and he's cool as shit. I mean, the guy's cool, but he's got his issues, and it looks like he's going to lose his job over this for sure, which, look, I get it. But there is something to be said about the fact that the guy's a paramedic and a firefighter, two jobs that take just, a shitload of training to do, like a lot of book learning and training, and that's all being pissed away right now by dropping the guy, which kind of sucks. Just from a cost benefit analysis thing or perspective. And people, people say, "Oh, but he was drunk driving." Yeah, but but he didn't hurt anybody. Nobody was killed or anything like that. It'd be a whole different story if that was the case. Guy just made a dumb decision. That was it. So anyway, that's been the big news. Look, everybody's going to dump on him and pile on him. I'm not going to do that. It's the same with the Chief Skiba thing. Everybody, dumped on him and piled on him. I really didn't say anything about that either because, again, in his situation, nobody was hurt. Nothing happened. It was just, a series of dumb decisions. I'm not just defending anything that they did, of course, but, it is what it is. I mean, I guess Skiba was a bully anyway, and, he should have lost his job probably, but not for the reasons that they ended up firing him for. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the big news and point this week. There's no commissions or committees really for me to talk about this week. It's right at the beginning of the month. The Planning Commission met this week. That's kind of outside of the purview of City Council. Basically, all they do is for those of you who don't know, they just approve permits, things like that. Nothing really related to City Council. And then the Casey Beeland stuff. So what I wanted to talk about mainly this week was the challengers to in the City Council races. And I guess there's a bunch of challengers for school board. So school board has 3 openings this time around, and I guess there's 6 people running for it. I will probably try to get somebody on. Probably starting next week, I'm going to try to get on guests to talk about things, to just introduce themselves, let them know, let us know who they are and what they stand for. So Marla Schultz is the only one that I know anything about. And, I know she's very conservative leaning. I don't know if she's a Republican necessarily, but I think she's a conservative, and she's running against Melissa Johnson, who is not a conservative. So I think people like Marla are going to be running just because they see the crazy spending and they see all the big redesign programs that are happening around the city. And I think she's just one of the people that are fed up about it. So, good for her for stepping up and running. And then a guy named Brian Bewlew, I think is how you pronounce his last name, but he's running in District 9 against Polly Dalton. That was the one district that I didn't personally care about. I like Polly Dalton on the city council. I think she's fine. I like her because she's young and she has a perspective to bring to the table that people like Melissa Johnson and David Shore and Tori Jennings are just not going to be able to bring to the table because of their age. They live in, 1984. They're still trapped back there. They don't, the whole Airbnb thing that passed last year is a good example of that. It's a good example of how they don't really understand the changing times, whereas somebody like Polly Dalton does. So I've always liked her on the council. I will bring these people on in the future. I guess that's really all I had to say this week. I'm just kind of getting back into this. I really just wanted to sit down and get my feet wet again and start getting back into this. I've been drinking a lot of tea lately. One of my things for 2021, it's not really a resolution. It's just something I got to do because I'm fat. I'm getting too fat. I got to give up drinking so much. So I've been working on that a little more, not drinking so much. It's been a while. It's been like 30 some odd days. But yeah, I think that's about all I had. I knew it was going to be a short one this week. And I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of activity just because everything's on a new platform. It's not as easy to just jump over on another platform when you're, most people are scrolling Facebook right now. So a lot of the views that come on to my live streams are people just scrolling through their feeds, and then they just see me talking. They'll stop and watch for a few minutes. That's it. But yeah. So if you guys have anything to say, put it in the comments. I'll give it a few minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this thing down. Like I said, this was very preliminary. I just kind of wanted to test out the new streaming functions because I've never done this before. I've been meaning to do more streaming on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, I do have a sketch comedy YouTube channel that I've had for like 10 years. And I've been meaning to do more live streams from that, but I just never, I don't have the time. I have so little time for anything fun in my life. But it is nice to finally have a platform, to be on a platform that's not going to shut me down arbitrarily for no reason at all. The way it works on YouTube, for the most part, is as long as I don't say certain words, as long as I'm not throwing out the N word or the F slur or any words like that, I'll be fine. They're not going to shut me down. The problem is I run a handful of pages on Facebook that are mostly just comedy pages. So I have a main comedy page that I use for like sketches and funny blogs that I write and things like that. But in the meantime, I also post a lot of memes on there. And the other one is like a conservative, like anti-liberal, funny meme page. And those are the ones that get me banned all the time because the Facebook algorithm is just not like, you're not funny to the algorithm. And you're certainly not funny to the social justice warriors that Facebook likes to hire en masse to shut people like me down. Because look, to me, funny is funny. Like I don't care if it's politically correct at all. If a joke is funny, that's all there is to it. That's the beginning and end of it. But Facebook doesn't see it that way. So I end up getting banned a lot. And if my main account gets banned, then all of my pages go down with the account that gets banned, my main account. So being here is going to prevent that from happening a lot, I think. So going forward, it's going to be a breath of fresh air to not have to worry so much about what I'm posting on Facebook. Not that I do anyway, which is why I get banned all the time, but it's always in the back of my mind. Like before I share a meme, I'm just like, am I going to get banned for this? Don't have to worry about that anymore. So anyway, but like I said, if you don't want to come and join the stream while it's live, I recommend you do and get involved in the chat and complain along with me. But if you don't want to, I will re-upload these to Facebook. So you're not going to have to leave Facebook for this. All right. So anyway, I'm going to shut this thing down. That's all I wanted to say today. It was going to be a short one. I know as soon as I turn this off, I'm going to remember something I wanted to talk about because that always happens. But anyway, whatever. I'll just talk about it next week. I will start doing these again every Friday, 7 o'clock, just like it was last year. Think of this as season 2. And this year, I think is going to be a lot better. I'm definitely going to get a lot more guests because I don't want to sit and just rant on my own. I want to get people to bounce ideas off, especially now that we got people that are actually running for city council. I think that's cool. We're going to meet these people. Oh, another thing that, another kind of guest I wanted to get on were people who are interesting in some way. Let's just say that. I'll leave it at that. I'll bring people on eventually, and then, we'll spice things up then. But all right, that's it. I am out of here, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will see you next week and have definitely a more structured stream. Like I said, this was just getting my feet wet again, getting back into it. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I will see you next week. And anything that you have that you want to talk about or you want me to talk about on this stream, always feel free to message my Facebook page. Any questions or anything, I'll be glad to talk about whatever's on your mind. Or just jump in the chat and talk about stuff. Either way. All right. I am out of here. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.